Welcome! Today, we will be taking a look at all of the creatures from the new series, The Future is Wild Revival. Our first stop is the European islands. The first creature we have is a finch cow, the descendant of finches. It can weigh up to a ton and actually walks on all fours. Over millions of years, this creature's wings have transitioned into feet, enabling it to walk like a cow. Preying on the finch cows is the tiger weasel. After the death of some of the apex predators, the tiger weasel has evolved to become the island's apex predator. Next, scaly jumpers. Evolved from lizards, they only have 2 legs now and a long kangaroo-like tail. They also jump like kangaroos and even climb on trees. And the last creature of the European islands is the diving goose, a creature evolved from the Canadian goose, but less aggressive. Its wings are no longer used for flying, but rather to help it dive deep into the water. In the Iberian Desert, we have the turtle rat, a rodent evolved from gophers, who developed osteoderms for defense and for regulating its body temperature. Then the ostrich-like long-necked snipe, which is actually the last member of its family. Because within 50 million years, all the members of the snipe family will be extinct, and the long-necked snipe is the last one of them. Next up is the gigantic swine. Despite their resemblance to elephants and the extinct mammal Paraceratherium, they're actually closely related to wild boars. In Asia, we have the baboon macaque, one of the last remaining primates on the planet. However, they are being attacked by the dreadbill, a giant bird evolved from a hornbill with a sharp beak that can pierce a baboon macaque's body. Next up, the lumbering pangolin beast. At first glance, you might think it's a dinosaur, but in reality, it's a mammal, evolved from a pangolin. In the Korean archipelago, we have the giant-eared squirrel, a squirrel with giant ears that help it pick up vibrations from 10 kilometers away. The worst enemy of the giant-eared squirrels is the spiny runner, descendant of the Eurasian hedgehog. The next creature we're taking a look at is the beach strider. The beach strider is a fish that has adapted to life on land. Over millions of years, its ancestors have completely given up life in the water and are now crawling onto land. So within a few million years, they might be completely terrestrial. Finally, the apex predator of the Korean archipelago, the gas beetle. evolved from sting bugs, releasing poisonous gas that is very lethal. In Africa, we have the giant terrifier, a bird the size of a Tyrannosaurus rex evolved from marabou storks. This species fills in the niche left behind by lions and leopards of modern-day Africa. Our next African creature is the African jackalope, a descendant of today's rabbits. It occupies the niche left behind by antelopes and wildebeests. Young giant terrifiers are not as threatening as their parents, but they are uglier. I took influence from vulture chicks. Stalking through the night, here is the clawed egret, a nocturnal scavenger evolved from the water-dwelling egret. Our last African creature is the Kongamato, evolved from the geckos. This lumbering beast is as heavy as a buffalo. Stepping into the rainforests of North America, we have the wind glider, a creature evolved from bats, with a 3-meter-long wingspan. The apex predator of the North American rainforest is the sharptooth, a close relative to today's stray cats, who have evolved over time, gaining the abilities of their wild descendants. Here's a cub sharptooth. It's about the size of a lion cub. Next up, we have a giant rodent named the horned mouse, due to the distinctive horn on its head that is used for mating displays, territorial displays, and defensive purposes. Lurking in the water, we have the slumber frog. The slumber frog has evolved from tree frogs and has now developed a tail. When designing this creature, I took influence from the Cretaceous amphibian Coolosuchus. The last creature from futuristic North America is the dragon canary, a close relative of the canaries, but this time attributing more parrot-like features, making them look like a bird of paradise. Further down south in South America, we have the southern wind glider. It's smaller, but it has developed a thick coat of fur to cope with the cold climate and bigger ears. But its wingspan is only 2 meters long. Next up, we have the biggest land animal in the South American iceland. It's the woolly capybara, and it occupied the niche left behind by tapirs. This is a flightless bird, a predator named the terror toucan. It's carnivorous, and it looks like a raptor. However, some creatures took evolution to the extreme. This is a sea parrot, evolved from macaw parrots. This bird had grown to the size of a walrus and is now able to traverse through water. Heading to the land down under in the Great Plateau, we have the Volin, a relative of black swans, with a gigantic 15-meter wingspan, making it the largest flying creature in 50 million years into the future. Next up, we have the saber-toothed tanuki. During the collision of Oceania and Japan, the ancestors of the saber-toothed tanuki were able to adapt to this environment, sporting saber teeth and speedy feet. Full-grown saber-toothed tanukis are about the size of a modern-day African lion, but some can grow to the size of a liger. One of the few remaining marsupials in Australia, we have the mountain kangaroo, a species of kangaroo that has adapted to life in the high peaks. Even bigger than the mountain kangaroo is the wandering koala, a marsupial the size of a cow. Wandering koalas travel in herds, finding mountain plants. In Antarctica, in the future, Antarctica will become a desert, and few creatures will struggle to survive. The first creatures we meet in futuristic Antarctica are digger penguins, evolved from Adelie penguins. And as their name implies, they dig underground and pop out whenever they want to. The biggest enemy of the digger penguins is the monstrous nightmare, evolved from the emperor penguin, sporting a sharp beak, pointy claws, and quick feet. This predator is smart enough to catch a digger penguin. Here we have a rather unusual mammal, a burrowing seal. This seal has wandered onto land. Its back feet have become fully functional to dig through the sandy dunes, and it now has external ears. Next up, the final creature of futuristic Antarctica, the 6-meter-long siren worm. This worm has jelly-like appendages on its body. They glow at the sight of danger. This worm lives in the watery caves of futuristic Antarctica. It has no eyes and is about the size of a great white shark. In the oceans of the future, we have the lesser tide slider. Tide sliders are creatures evolved from African penguins. This one is about 2 meters long. Their food source is a creature that resembles fish, but in reality it's actually a crustacean known as an emerald shrimp. Like its name implies, it's emerald green. The enemy and the close relative of the lesser tide sliders is the greater tide slider, also evolved from the African penguin. This creature is bigger and more aggressive, about 5 meters long. In the Indian Sea, we have the storm ray. Some species of rays today have the power to wield electricity, but this species has taken it to the extreme. In the future, scientists believe that whales and dolphins will disappear from the face of the earth, and this gigantic creature, the whale crocodile, might take their place. It's about 15 meters long and has a gigantic mouth to swallow fish. The futuristic shark Luminodon, meaning luminescent tooth, is a glowing shark that hunts young whale crocodiles. In the oceanic black hole of Antarctica, we have the mother jellyfish, the widest animal in the futuristic world. Is about 30 meters wide and has poisonous tentacles. The only one who can eat those tentacles is the long-tailed sea slug, a sea slug with a very long tail and flippers, which it uses to glide through the deep sea. So that's it for today. Catch up soon. Bye bye.